From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
West Yellowstone may have to find a quick solution for childcare in town. We're going to break down what the future may hold for some families. And following a string of wrong-way drivers on the interstate, local law enforcement say they are finally getting the help that they need. We're going to see what the next steps are for I-90.
Montana Department of Fish, Wildlife and Parks looking to revise its mule deer management plan. I'm Chet Lehman. Coming up this week, how you can become involved.
Alrighty, it is 6:30 on this Monday edition of Montana This Morning. Jay McDonald and Matt Elwell with you. Well, I'm just noticing a few more cars than usual on the roadways, which I think it's a good idea. People get out on the road a little bit extra.
And also there is fresh snow out there, so you want to leave some extra time, and that may play part of it. Maybe people are listening.
Yeah, well, maybe.
Maybe not.
Take what you want.
Yeah, right. Temperatures this morning, once again, brutal. 30s below zero, in some cases 40s below zero with wind chill. The early morning temperatures, it's going to be a cold start to the day. Leave some extra time, warm that car up as you're starting the day. Our temperatures will be warming up with some sunshine, but again, a fresh layer of snow making things a little slick early on. This is our Bozeman Day Planner. It looks like we're going to bring temperatures back into or close to the single digits, below zero or zero. Most of us are probably dealing with pretty cold temperatures here for the next 36 hours or so before we start seeing it warm up. I'm going to talk more about our chances of snow and our slight warm up coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you very much, Matt. Now, right off the top this half hour, Bozeman firefighters responded to a fire at a trailer Sunday morning. Now, the fire was located at the intersection of Veronica Way near Cattail Street, and it's unclear as of this morning if there were any injuries tied to that fire. The fire department says that crews have been busy responding to calls in the frigid temperatures, and they have responded to 30 calls between Saturday afternoon and Sunday afternoon. Now, our top story this half hour, West Yellowstone may have to find a quick solution for childcare in town. Our Kristen Merkel reports on how Little Rangers Learning Center may have to close their doors due to lack of funding.
Little Rangers Learning Center is one of the only childcare resources in West Yellowstone. And with recent funding challenges, this facility may close, leaving residents with little to no childcare.
It's just devastating because, number one, our kids' education, we rely on a lot with just everything that he learns before kindergarten and everything, so he's getting ready those important learning stages.
Nicholas Wilson's 4-year-old son attends Little Rangers Learning Center. He says this facility is an amazing source for not only his son, but the community.
Having the different teachers and everything is just so important to their growth and development. Not only that, but like their socialization.
The Learning Center currently has 25 children enrolled and 4 teachers.
You can try and use 2 hands. Do you want to use 2 hands?
But Director Mia Bagayski says the daycare may have to close its doors due to what she describes as past alleged embezzlement that wiped out their savings.
We've been reaching out to the community and families, and we've actually gotten some really positive responses. So we're hopeful that we'll be able to stay open a little bit longer. Our goal right now for our fundraising is $80,000.
She says they're doing everything they can to continue providing childcare in West Yellowstone.
We are gonna fight and we're gonna look for other avenues to help fund us so that we can stay open. Ultimately, it's the children who are gonna suffer because if they're not able to get that, education ahead of time before they head off to kindergarten, then it takes a lot longer for them to catch up.
Without a resource like Little Rangers, Wilson says the community would have to work extra hard to come up with childcare solutions.
Basically, we have to work as a community and babysit our kids. We'd probably just have to take turns from work and stay back home and try to work from home. And nobody has very flexible options.
13.
In West Yellowstone, Kristen Merkel, MTN News.
And the Iowa caucuses are now just hours away, the first presidential contest of the year. Now, it is also the first time former President Trump will face voters since he lost the 2020 election and disputed the results. So, will the results be believed come Monday night? Well, our Joe St. George looks at what the Iowa GOP is doing to ensure that no one is disputing the result.
The Iowa caucuses happen every 4 years, but in American politics, actually believing the result of a political contest has never been more critical. The Iowa caucuses are traditionally about as democratic as they come, at a certain time, at a particular place every 4 years. Nearly 180,000 or so Iowans are expected to show up Monday to a gym, a community center, or even some restaurants to hear speeches and eventually cast a ballot for their pick to be president. But after January 6th and the dispute by many conservatives about the result, protecting the integrity of Monday's caucus results has never been more critical.
I don't think it's fraud. I mean, I would accept it as it is.
While talking to voters this past week in Iowa, we found some who will believe the result Monday night, while others say they won't unless former President Trump wins.
I'm not trusting the system right now, so I didn't trust it in 2020.
Knowing that, the Iowa GOP, who runs the Iowa caucuses, have taken steps to ensure the caucuses are correct. On caucus night, once the results are tabulated, each precinct will submit results via an app to the state party. There are nearly 1,700 precincts across the state. In a Zoom press call, party officials from Iowa used test data to show how once results get submitted, someone will look at how that compares to historical data before someone actually hits the approve button.
Yep. Everything looks good.
Gentry Collins, the former Republican Party of Iowa executive director, tells me that party officials here know that the world is watching and that they want to get it right. There is no good in being first, after all, if your results are not believed.
Yes, and the state party has done a great deal of work, not only building an app, but training 1,650 plus precinct leaders to use that app.
Are we going to know who won the Iowa caucuses when we wake up Tuesday morning?
I think we are, yes.
Joe St. George, Scripps News, Des Moines.
Now back in some Treasure State headlines. Imagine driving along the interstate and you see headlights heading your way, and then you realize it's a Wrongway driver. It was a Wrongway driver that recently killed a young mother near Three Forks, as we first reported last week. And Sheriff Dan Springer is finally getting the support he's been asking for to make improvements to the interstate off-ramps. MTN's Edgar Cedillo has this story.
It kind of felt like a fever dream almost. I try and be really careful on the road, especially at night, and I never would have imagined that somebody going the wrong way would hit me.
Last week, we introduced you to Nadine Olive. Her car was struck by the latest Wrongway driver that claimed the life of 22-year-old Lissa Garwell. She and the people I've spoken to want to see change along the interstate.
I think more things definitely need to be done. I'm not sure what, but something needs to be done.
Gallatin County Sheriff Dan Springer has said that the amount of Wrongway drivers is alarming. He now has support from the state.
The fact that everyone is on the same page and interested in getting some solutions out there is great.
In the county, the sheriff's office says that they're looking at 3 interchanges for signage and lighting improvements.
And so far, the primary ones are the Manhattan interchanges, the Amsterdam Road interchange there in Belgrade, and North 7th.
I spoke with employees near the Amsterdam interchange who did not want to be on camera, but they say they see people getting on the off-ramp on the wrong side of the interstate, especially at night.
And that one is probably better lit, but it can be a fairly confusing on-ramp, off-ramp section.
In a 2-week stretch, we reported of 2 drunk drivers, one who was charged with 37 counts of criminal endangerment for every car he reportedly passed. Springer has a dire warning for drivers.
Drivers, you've got to take a stance on drinking and driving. You got to stop doing it. Servers, quit over-serving people. If they're at a residence, don't let your friends leave.
Olive says she's continuing to count her blessings.
Thankful that I had good reaction time. Definitely had God on my side that night. I'm very thankful.
And Springer tells MTN News that they have about a 6 to 8 week period before they are able to get those new signs up at the intersection, and that's due to supply chain issues. Now, 2 big concerns during a major winter weather event is frostbite and carbon monoxide poisoning. Now, frostbite is like a burn where you can experience numbness and tingling in your fingers and toes. If you have to be out in this extreme cold weather, make sure to dress warmly and that all skin is covered to avoid frostbite. And when it comes to carbon monoxide poisoning, 2 big symptoms are nausea and vomiting. It's also important to make sure that vents are properly ventilated if you are using a heat source from propane or even a wood-fired stove. Dr. Aaron Feast from Community Medical Center says that if you are planning on traveling during the extreme weather, it's important to be prepared.
I think that if you're going to be going on traveling, I'd say outside of the city or outside of town, definitely if you're going to be going on unpaved roads, making sure that you have possibly 2 to 3 days of your medications. If you're diabetic, making sure that you have food and supplies available so that you don't get caught into a situation where you're out for 12 to 24 hours, no one can come and get you, and that you don't get ill.
And it's also important to keep a full tank of gas and to give yourself a little extra time when you're traveling in this weather. And the Montana Department of Fish, Wildlife and Parks routinely updates its management plans for Montana's wildlife populations. And this year, FWP is working on the plan for Montana's mule deer population. And this week in Fish and Wildlife, MTN's Chet Lehman takes a look at how the members of the public can become involved.
As of 2022, there are an estimated 250,000 mule deer in the state of Montana. The Montana Department of Fish, Wildlife and Parks is responsible for each and every one of them. As FWP revises its mule deer management plan, it's looking for some help.
So as we look to rewrite the plan for mule deer, Fish, Wildlife and Parks is looking to convene a Citizens Advisory Council specific to mule deer management in the state. And again, similar to how we've done it for other species, oftentimes these advisory councils will be specific to this phase in the process, and really our hope is to be able to solicit and gather public input in this process.
Jacobson says this is a chance for members of the public who are interested in Montana's mule deer population to become involved in the future management of those animals.
So much of what we do at Fish, Wildlife and Parks relies so much on public input and participation. And so this is one way that we're hoping that we'll be able to gather that input. So we're seeking applicants to that council, folks who are interested in providing input in this capacity as we look to to the future of mule deer management in Montana, and we're hoping that we'll get some applicants for it.
Jacobson says FWP hoping to get a group of people from a nice cross-section of those interested in Montana's mule deer.
It's really just folks who have are concerned or passionate or interested in mule deer management. So that could be folks could be hunters, could be landowners, outfitters, other publics in Montana who have an interest on this issue.
Successful applicants will have to meet at least twice for multi-day meetings between February and May of this year. Head on over to the FWP website for an application form and more information. Deadline to apply, January 31st. This week in Bozeman, Chet Lehman, MTN News.
Alrighty, it is 6:42 now. We're going to take a short break, but when we come back, we're going to be exploring some older homes that may need to be assessed by owners.
I'm John Matteries. We like to think our homes are safe, but if your house is a bit older, there's a chance that paint on your walls may not be safe. What to check for?